Welcome, everybody. Good to see everybody. Cooper the Great is in first once again. Amy's a close second. Jason, good to have you. Tom, good to have you. Stephen, good to see you. I hope you're doing well, buddy. Mr. Mark, good to have you tonight. Welcome to everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. That's what I'm talking about. Whiskey Bent's in the house. Good to see you, my brother. Looking forward to having you, man. Cooper said Amy was not close. We're going to go ahead and get started. I've got a lot to cover before we get Chad on here and start talking with him. We got a lot to cover with him as well. So we'll go ahead and get started with that. First, welcome to all the new subs. We've had, I think, 56 new subscribers in the last week. So that's pretty big. And want to welcome all of you guys to the channel, as well as a big thanks to all the guys, what I call the old school subscribers who have been there here almost since day one. So want to throw that out too. I got reminded that I didn't say anything about the old subscribers last week. So I appreciate every subscriber that I have. And if you are a subscriber, thank you very much. Share the videos, tell folks about them. If you're not a subscriber tonight, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you're notified every time we post a video, and share it as well. And before you get off the live stream tonight, be sure to give us a thumbs up, and we sure appreciate that as well. So we appreciate it. Dave, good to have you in the house tonight, my man. Secondly, third, let's talk about what's going on with the channel a little bit. I want to keep you up to date on everything, and this is kind of a touchy subject for me, but I need to just go ahead and let it out there. Patches. You guys know that I have been saying for a month and a half now, I'm waiting on patches for more hats, and I've got a apron that I need to put my patch on, and well, I've never gotten the patches. So after about 40 something days of waiting on patches, I just canceled the order that was never made and just said I'll figure something else out. So long story short, looks like I'm fixing to get into the leather business. I'm fixing to do it myself, just like I did with the hats. You know, everybody around here always talks about you need to shop locally, support your local businesses. Well, I tried that with the hats. I wanted Richardson hats. The lady said that she would give me a quote, and it's about a year later, and I'm still waiting on that quote. You know, the guy that was doing my patches, he's a great guy. He does a lot of great things for a lot of great people, supports veterans and all that stuff, which is awesome. But the fact of the matter is, you know, I can't wait around forever. I realize he's busy, but I'm busy too. So, and my attitude about that kind of stuff is, before I wait around on something or am not satisfied with something, I'll just find a way to do it my damn self. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to order. They won't be exactly like this. So this right here, guys, is the last OG Just Piddling Barbecue hat. So if you want the last one of this kind of hat with that patch, go ahead and get it tonight, because that is the last one in inventory. There won't be another one exactly like that with the patch. My plan for the new patch is probably going to be a little bit bigger with a little bit bigger logo, but it's probably not going to be done with a machine, with a laser. I'm probably going to do it myself with some type of branding iron. But everything will be done by us from here on out as far as leather goes, until I tell you differently. So I've got to order the branding iron and the leather, and when it gets in, I'm going to do it myself. And that's just a quick lesson for any of you that are in business for yourself. With social media and YouTube today, there's nothing that you can't learn how to do yourself. And so if you think that you're super great at what you do and people are going to wait around for you to get around to whatever they ordered, well, you're wrong, because if that person's like me, they're just going to go out and figure out how to do it themselves, and they're going to do it. So that's what I'm going to do. That's enough of that topic, but just wanted to let you know what was going on with the patches. So that is the last original Just Pillin' Barbecue patch hat that will ever be available. So if you want it, grab it and I'll send it to you. Appreciate that. That covers the patches. Also, we do have sauce. We've got the shirts. We've got these signs. Any kind of personalized wooden sign like that, I'll make it. Matter of fact, I think Robert just got his sign and said that he was really happy with it. So glad to hear that. Miss Delana, good to have you tonight. Always good to see ladies in the house too. So, by the way, the hat's still going to be the same brand and everything. The patch is just going to be different. So, so go check out justpiddlingbbq.com. Hats, koozies, for God's sakes, get your koozie. Hats, signs, shirts, grab it up. We appreciate it. That really helps us out with the channel. What else? Sauce. Okay, something else real quick. This flag behind me. Speaking of the flag behind me, this is the second flag that I've made in 2 weeks. The first one's hanging in our living room. And this one I made for my brother. He did not know that I was making it for him. I just appreciate the stuff that he does for me. And also with both of us, you know, being Marines and stuff, that flag is cherished. But also with him working with Traeger, I thought it would be great to put the Traeger mountains in the middle of the stars. And so that's what I did. All of that stuff is hand carved. I hand carved all the stars and the mountains. I say hand carved. It was hand carved with a Dremel tool, but still, that's a lot of work. It took me about 5 hours to carve all that stuff.
Hey, Jace.
But anyway, that Mike, man, I appreciate you, brother. God bless you. But I made that one for Harley. I've told him about it and sent him a picture of it. He was pretty blown away by it. So whenever we get together, I'm going to give that to him. He's down in New Orleans right now, cooking for some folks. I just talked to him a while ago. Chad, if you're still hanging in there, he told me to tell you hello. But I'm thinking about just putting those on my website and selling those too. I've looked at what other people are charging for those flags. And so probably what I'll do is I'll probably do $150 and I'll include shipping with that flag. And if you want something personalized in the Union in the middle of those stars, as long as I can kind of find some type of template, I'll do that. And if you want something different, we'll talk about it. And if I think I can do it, then I'll tell you I can do it and get it to you as quickly as I can. So really proud of them, though. It's a great experience doing them just because of the patriotism and the feeling that I have for this country in general. Makes me proud to do those flags. So, you know, I enjoy doing them. And if I can put one of those flags in somebody else's living room, that makes me even happier. So, good stuff with that. What else?
Cooper the Great, this is Jack Daniels. And Amy, it's peach, not watermelon. I forgot he got these for me.
The video this week. Let's talk about the video for a minute. We did the video on pulled pork nachos, and it was a buffalo style pulled pork nachos because if you remember back a while back, I did a rib video. It's been a while now. I did a rib video, but I did it buffalo wing style. In other words, I used a Frank's Red Hot buffalo type sauce on the ribs. It turned out really good. And I've gotten some requests from that, but I thought about doing pulled pork nachos because me and Brandy were still trying to do keto. I think we're about 50% keto right now.
No.
Anyway, we've been doing nachos with ground beef over pork skins, and it's amazing. But we thought, man, that would be great with some pulled pork. So that's what we did. But then I thought about that rib video, and I said, well, I'll make it buffalo style. So that's what we did. However, the other difference is the way that we filmed it. And 95% of the reaction from the video has been positive. About 5% people don't like that type of video. And I told Brandy before we posted the video that we were going to get some of those comments. However, I love watching those kinds of videos where people don't really. I can watch a guy hike up a mountain in the snow and just watch him. I don't have to hear him talk. I just want to see what he does. You know, my opinion is people talk too damn much anyway, and I just like to hear nothing for a change. You know, and so I love watching those videos. There's that Amazon kitchen. If you haven't seen that, those videos are amazing. I could watch those for days. And it's kind of like that. It's more about just watching them cook and the videography and all that stuff rather than a how-to video. And I thought, well, if I can do something like that a little bit, that's a little bit different, but draw in a little bit different audience, then it's worth a shot at doing that. And I've got to tell you, I really enjoyed doing that type of video. That type of video is more about the experience and less about a how to do something video. And that type of video is really why I started the channel to begin with, is just to get people to enjoy their backyards and that kind of thing. So, you know, I really enjoyed doing the video. It was a little long because in reality, it was probably 2 videos in one. The pulled pork video could have been one video by itself, and then the nacho part could have been a separate one, but we just knocked it out in one day. It was a long day, but we enjoyed it. I appreciate your feedback on it, and probably going to do some more of that type video as well. I really enjoyed it, and I enjoy watching those videos. And I think sometimes people want to be told how to do something too much. Use your imagination. You know, trial and error is how man has learned for hundreds of years. And now all of a sudden we just want somebody to tell us how to do it. So that's kind of the reasoning behind that different style video. And if nothing else, even when we do our regular videos now, I think just doing that video kind of will make us think a little bit about how to film something a certain angle or a certain way, or, you know, something like that. That was kind of, and she did a great job with the filming. You know, I had that idea and was trying to explain it to her, and I don't think she knew exactly how it was going to go till we started doing it. And then, I mean, she did a great job with the fire pit and the fire and the flames and all that stuff and capturing that. So
Got a good eye. I got you.
Bam. That's what I'm talking about.
Yep.
So it turned out really good. So I appreciate all your feedback on that. At the end, after we get through with the call in with Chad and everything, I'll give you an update on Nate and his boot camp experience. If you want to hang around for that, that'd be cool as well. Eddie Hanks, I appreciate your comment on that, man. Eddie said it was one of the best videos that we've done, so I appreciate that. One last thing. What was it? Oh, a quick channel update, and then we'll give Chad a call and start picking his brain on some barbecue stuff. Channel update, we're at 5,905 subscribers. So that's what, 56 up from last Wednesday night. So really happy about that. Appreciate all you guys and welcome everybody. And over the last 28 days, we've got over 30,000 views. So that's pretty big. That's hard to believe, really. I remember when we started the channel, if we got 100 views, I was amazed. And now we're getting 30,000 views every 28 days. So that's pretty good stuff. And I owe it all to you guys. So thank you very much for showing up and commenting and sharing our videos. We really appreciate it. good stuff. We'll keep you updated on the channel as it goes along. Harley, good to have you tonight, brother. I appreciate you checking in. Harley's had a long day traveling and getting ready for that cook and all that stuff, so I appreciate it down in New Orleans. Without any further ado, let's give Chad a call now. Before I give him a call, I want to do a little introduction. Chad Ward is co-founder of Whiskey Bent BBQ, barbecue supply. Also a competition team. We'll talk about that a little bit when we get him on. And we're going to talk about Whiskey Bent BBQ a little bit as well. Also, obviously, a competition pit master, and he's also director of marketing at Traeger Grills, which is a big undertaking by itself. So he does a great job of juggling all that stuff. Now this is coming from Harley, and you know how that goes. You can't believe everything that Harley says, but Harley says he's just an all-around great guy. And I believe that. I think he's, helped Harley a lot with, with Traeger and cooking on the road and that kind of stuff. And so I really appreciate that. So let's give old Chad a call and see if we can get him on the line.
Thanks, Everyday Barbecue.
Hello.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good, man. How about yourself?
Doing real well.
Well, man, I want to say, first of all, thank you for taking the time to do this. I know that you're a busy guy, and you've got a lot of things going on. We tried to get you on last week, and you chose the Boss Man over Just Piddling Barbecue, and and man, I would have done the same thing, because at least you know where your bread's getting buttered. And
gotta make sure you cover them bills.
That's right. That's right. So no big deal. Glad we were able to reschedule and get you on here. And it's going to be a good time, but I want to say thank you for doing that.
Oh, absolutely, man. Happy to be here.
So co-founder of Whiskey Bent Barbecue, tell us a little bit about Whiskey Bent Barbecue.
So Whiskey Bent Barbecue started out, 2007. So, the whole time growing up, I've always cooked and barbecued, and lived with a couple buddies towards the end of college, and we get together every Saturday and Sunday and cook. My first grill was, I don't know if you remember those old Sunbeam grills.
Oh yeah.
But my dad had one of those, and all the gas innards were blown out of it, and this and that. And so I turned it into a charcoal grill. And when I got out of college, I took a job as a software consultant. Me and one of my roommates from college, and software consultant, it's about like I travel now. You fly out Sunday morning and get home, Friday night. So the last thing you wanted to do was have a bunch of your heathen buddies over on the weekend, have to clean that up. So you just kind of wanted to, get home, do your wash, hang out for a day, and then, pack a bag and head back to the airport. And I don't know, about 8 months into it, my buddy Jared that had the same job I did, we were roommates in college. We got done with a job a day early, so we flew in, and me and him got together at my house on a Saturday night. And down here on 97 Country, they have Country Gold Saturday night.
Oh yeah.
And we were just sitting there, drinking some whiskey, bullshitting, and we talked about we were going to start a competition team. And his grandfather had just passed, and we'd inherited this huge stick burner, which we found out first contest is definitely not what you want. And so we're kind of sitting there like, all right, man, we're going to get together, because there's a big KCBS contest here in my hometown of Lakeland every year, last weekend of January, called Pig Fest. And I was like, man, we'll cook Pig Fest, but let's try to find another one local that we can cook beforehand. So we found this one in Kissimmee, and I want to say it was September 2007. And we're like, man, we need a name. And so I came back from fixing us some drinks and walked back out in the garage, and Whiskey Bent and Hellbound was on.
Oh yeah.
And I said, man, why don't we drop the Hellbound so we can do church caterings, and we'll call ourselves Whiskey Bent Barbecue. And we went out to that first contest. I always say it's a very humbling beginning for Whiskey Bent, because we entered the amateur division. There was 9 teams. We finished 7th and lost to a troop of Boy Scouts.
All right.
But from there, man, I just really kind of fell in love with it. Back then, that's before there was a whole bunch on the internet. There was a guy named Chatham Artillery that had an ebook. I came back home Sunday. I bought that. I started test cooking. Got a little offset pit. I think I paid $400 for it. Started cooking on that. Graduated up to kind of a stumps insulated cooker. Did really, really well on that. And then started cooking on pellets, man. But I've cooked about 130 contests across 28 states. Won seven grand championships, a couple reserves. Had some pretty big paydays as far as I was always pretty fortunate in big contests. I did pretty well. I think, my biggest payday in one contest, I won $12,500.
Yeah.
3-team contest, $10,000 grand, 2 first places, brisket and pork. I want to say brisket was second, pork and ribs. And at that time, it was the highest score ever in the history of the state of Florida. So competitions calmed down for me a little bit just because of all the duties with Traeger.
Right.
But I still love to get out there and do it. We just cooked Pig Fest. I try to do that here every year. And then about 6 years ago, a little over 6 years ago, we decided to start the store, which we just moved here in Lakeland. So it's been great, man. It's fun. It's still a way to get together with my buddies, which is why it kind of all started. But if you'd have told me 12 years ago this would be my career and I would have so much to do with barbecue and it kind of be my life, and the amount of people I'd get to meet and cook for and that kind of stuff, I'd have called you a fool.
Right. So you're saying you've come a long way from getting beat by a couple of Boy Scouts.
I think we've done all right, man. They were getting their cooking badge, and we were learning what it's like to be humble.
Yeah. But that is true. I mean, you never know where the road's going to take you, and that's kind of what me and Brandy talk about it sometimes. We don't know where this channel is going to take us, but that's kind of what keeps us going at it, because one day sooner or later something's going to come up and I can do kind of what I enjoy. So you talk about your stores. Where are they located, and what all do y'all have in your stores?
So right now we've got just the one store. One thing is you grow. We try to franchise model. The thing that I've learned is unless the people have the same passion for it as you do, it's not going to work. So we've got the one store in Lakeland. So we've got two buildings that we lease. One of them is straight up just the store. And we're one of the largest dealers for Traeger in the Southeast. We carry Kamado Joe. We carry around 125 different rubs, around 55 to 60 different sauces, 9 different varieties of wood. If you like to barbecue and smoke and cook, it's definitely a playground. And
you got a website as well, right?
Yes, yeah. We sell all of our whiskey mint products on the website, which has been we've been into that now about 18 months, and it's all the rubs that I used to use for competition, and we just commercialized them. And dude, I will tell you what, you were speaking earlier about being thankful for having a following and this and that. There's just that core group of whiskey mint folks out there that love what we do, and they've spread the word. And I mean, the rub business for us has grown so significantly. I mean, our biggest problem is staying in stock. Just in the last 14 days, we picked up another 13 accounts. I think it puts us at like 65 retailers. And then we got another 32 store chain talking about bringing us on.
Wow.
That along with the web traffic is awesome.
All right. So that's the whiskey bent part of the whole story. Now let's talk about the Traeger story a little bit.
So I typical before Traeger got bought out by Jeremy Anderson and those guys, over 6 years ago, I hated the brand, man. I thought as a retailer, it was very hard for me to do business with them because they had their own kiosk. They had Costco. They wanted to be in specialty, but they didn't give us specialty guys anything that we could hang our hat on. And they would send out email deals twice a week that were just killing dealers. And so I remember when Jeremy bought him, and I had read about Jeremy's background at Skull Candy, and I'd heard some rumblings like the first month or two in. And at this time, I'm still in the software business, kind of getting burnt out. I've got my store. I'm taking all my vacation time to go do barbecue stuff. And I kind of woke up and I said, you know what, man, the end of this year, I'm going to quit my software job and I'm going to do barbecue full time. I'm just going to figure it out. And so I sent a note to Traeger that kind of like said, look, man, I don't know if you have any openings or whatever. Here's my resume. If anything came up that I could do there, let me know. And so Luke Edgar, our vice president of sales, you're kind of Harley's boss.
Right.
And so Luke, back then, I was the second kind of barbecue radio show to ever be on. And at this time I was on the outdoor channel, and so I was streaming also. And so Luke's working late one night, and he clicks on that link and comes over and watches the show and watches it for about 5 minutes and runs and goes get Denny Bruce, which is our senior vice president. And he said, man, you got to watch this, guys. Like, we're looking for somebody to head up the barbecue side of the business. This may be our dude. Like, he knows everybody in the industry. I mean, he just got done talking to Myron Mixon. Now he's talking to Tuffy Stone. He's got a great record. He said, and the most impressive thing is I'm pretty sure he's about to drink a handle of Crown Royal in a two-hour radio show. And so the next day, Denny Bruce calls me and goes, man, I just so happened that I'm going to be in Florida next week. Could I come to your shop? Could I meet you? And I knew me and Denny were going to be thick as thieves. When he walked through that door, two things. He walked in and he goes, looked around the store and he goes, I'm finally in a damn barbecue store. And in his right hand was a bottle of High West whiskey. And I said, all right, man. And he sat down and showed, and, and said, man, here's the game plan. Here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to attack the outdoor grilling space. It averages 2 to 3% growth a year. We want 30, 35% growth. And, dude, it's one of those, I'm sure with your military background, you've had leaders where they get done talking and you're like, dude, let's go run through that friggin' wall.
Yeah, right.
And then that's the kind of guy Denny is. And so at that point, they didn't have that director of barbecue marketing job. And he said, look, we'd love to bring you on as a spokesperson. We're starting this shop class thing. We'd love to have you be a part of that. We'd love to have you come out to events. And so we kind of came up with something and did that for about a year and a half. And then, boom, they had this opening to run marketing on the barbecue side of the business. And I called Denny and said, hey, man, why haven't you told me about this? He goes, because I can't pay you what you make in the software business. I said, dude, it's not about money anymore. It's about happiness.
Yeah.
I've made good money in the software business. It's all right. And so boom, I go, all right, so can I come out and interview? He's like, dude, you really think you got interviews? Like, come out, meet the team, make sure it's all a good click, sit down with Jeremy, have a conversation. Because the cool thing about a Traeger is Jeremy Andrus interviews everybody to make sure they're a culture fit.
Right.
I don't care if you're coming in as somebody that answers phones. If you're a Traeger employee, Jeremy interviews you for at least 15 minutes. Me and Jeremy sat down for 15 minutes. It ended up being 2 hours. I missed my flight. But, dude, it was well worth it. And I knew at that point, I said, not only do I want to come here because I'm energized about where this brand's going, and I think we're going to get to do something that'll be talked about in business class, Masters of Business 20 years from now. But to be able to work with leaders like Luke Edgar, Denny Bruce, and Jeremy, it's only going to make me stronger and help make my brand stronger from what I can learn from those guys.
Right. A couple of things that hit me right off the bat with you talking about it is how you didn't really care for them at first. And, my first real experience with Traeger, I guess, was probably right before Harley started, and I liked them, but I always felt like there was something missing. But since this D2 series has come out, it has taken it to another level, and my respect for that is so much higher now than it used to be. I think they pretty much knocked it out of the park with the Timberlines, the Ironwood, and that D2 series drivetrain.
I completely agree, and I will tell you one place where we spare no expense and where we are not going to allow anybody to beat us, and that's innovation. When you look at how we've grown as headcount as a company, our product development team and our product execution team has grown by leaps and bounds. But that is one that we look at as a beachhead, is we always want to be innovating, and we always want to be the first to market with that next big thing, just like we were first to market, with the pellet grill.
Yeah. It just seems like over the past, I want to say, especially the past 5 years, the pellet grill industry has just exploded. And just about everybody is going out and buying a pellet grill. And that's a great thing if you're a company that's selling pellet grills. But at the same time, there's a lot of folks out there buying pellet grills that have no idea how they work, have no idea anything about them. They haven't done, they just heard about the pellet grills, and I'm going to go get me one of those pellet grills and bring it home. And that can be a bad thing for a grill company, because when they have problems with it, all of a sudden it's the grill company's fault. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and so
we We assembled the grill for him, all that stuff. But like, we had left the plastic on the grate. You know what I mean? So that we didn't know when he was going to use it. And
Right.
we told him about it. Hey, I personally showed him. Hey man, make sure you need to take this plastic off, that plastic off. This fool plugs it in when he gets home and just fires it up to burn it in.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I completely agree with you there. And your customer support calls go way up. When you got people that are just going out there because a friend of a friend said, man, I went over to a friend of a friend's house and I had the best damn pulled pork I ever had. He told me he had a pellet grill, so I went and bought a pellet grill.
Right.
Yeah. And he ain't cooked a lick in his life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that there's upsides to that as far as the explosion, but there's also downsides too, as far as you don't want it to be where, and Traeger sells so many pellet grills every year, but with that also comes a greater number of complaints. You know what I mean? But people don't understand that ratio is proportional.
Yeah. No, it's one of those that it's interesting, and that's one of the things that we're trying to really invest in also is kind of owning that customer throughout the process. So make sure we're providing plenty of videos and those kind of things to make sure that we can walk them past just the initial transaction, because obviously we make the grill, but we also make the pellets. And the more we can get people out there cooking on it 3-4 times a week, the more pellets are going to go through. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the likelihood that if they came in at a pro 575 level and they really get good at it and they keep cooking, they're going to want to move up that ladder to an ironwood or a timberline,
Right.
And I feel like that's where a lot of brands mess up with, is they get that initial conversion and they're like, all right, man, that hit the bottom line, that's awesome, and they kind of forget about the customer until that grill's going to run out. You know what I mean? Whereas if you stay with that customer the whole time, that's what you want, because that's what builds loyalty. And that's, every time I'm on a plane, if I wear a Traeger hat, somebody will stop me and say, you know what, man, I'm your best sales guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
You hear it all the time, because it's just that word of mouth. And as much as we got social media now and all this stuff and targeted marketing, I feel like till the day we die, the best advertising out there is word of mouth.
I agree 100%. No doubt about it. For those of you that are tuned in, y'all hit that thumbs up button before you hop off. We appreciate that. Let us know that you like these live streams. And go visit Whiskey Bent Barbecue Supply and check out what's over there as well.
Yeah, and got a special for all the listeners. We're going to run it through midnight next Wednesday. But if you go in, get that shopping cart full, and in the promo code or discount code, put in just like you got it spelled, just Piddlin. And I do have the apostrophe in there too. So JUS apostrophe
awesome.
Piddlin, all lowercase. It'll be 15% off, and that'll run through next Wednesday at midnight.
Just like that.
Yeah, hey, just that easy, old boy.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I appreciate you doing that. So
I've always wanted to come on. Me and Harley have listened to the show a couple times. We've been at events, and I got to tell you, man, your brother's a fine man, dude. I love working with that guy. Hard worker. You're right though. You got to watch. You can't take everything he says at face value.
Right.
But we just got done doing our second Super Bowl together with the Dan Patrick Show. Harley. I tell you, any event that I have near his region, that's my number one request. I always bring it with me. Memphis in May. Dude, just a workhorse, hell of a cook. And I will tell you, he taught me a new Southern phrase when we were together in Super Bowl. And I'm just going to ask you, did they get the butter out the duck today?
They got the butter out of the duck. They always get the butter out of the duck. They always get the butter out of the duck.
Man, he told me that, and I must have howled, and then we kind of Googled it to try to figure out the background on it, and the background's sketchy, but yeah, old Harley, man, he'll hit me with some of those Southernisms, and I'm a Southern boy too, so they just crack me up.
Yeah, he's got some sayings now.
He does.
What?
We got started on the Tighter Than Dick's hat band too. We
do
that one around a little bit in the Super Bowl.
Happier than possum eating briars.
Oh God, dang, I like that one. I ain't heard that before.
Yeah, and Harley, he's a moderator on here, and he's the only moderator I got, and I put him in charge of the, finding the talent for the shows too, and man, he said he tried to get all kind of folks, and they didn't want to come on, and He looked at the end of his Rolodex. He was on his last ditch effort. He saw Chad Ward, and he said, "Man, I reckon that's who we're gonna have to get."
I guess that's just what we got. That's I ain't gonna say we want them on, but that's just what we stuck with, you know.
Man, he talks real highly of you, man, and I appreciate the fact that you've kind of, been a good friend to him and took him under your wing, so to speak, and he really enjoyed working with you.
Absolutely, man. I think we learn something from each other every time we work together, and that's what it's about. So the other thing I love about Traeger is we just have such a special team, and you get to learn with the people you're working with. You enjoy being around them. I mean, people ask me all the time, like, dude, I don't know how you do it. I traveled 270 days last year, but man, when you really, and I was kind of worried because people always say that, well, when you turn a job into doing something that you loved, you kind of lose it. And I'm going to say,
right.
For me, that hasn't been the thing, man. I love barbecue more than when I made it a job. I just love being out there and being able to connect with people and work with a great team. And dude, to me, barbecue's always been just that great uniter, man. You can bring different races, religions, backgrounds together. And, man, if we got a good old spread of barbecue, everybody's going to be happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. And you talk about relationships. I talk about it all the time on my channel too, as, subscribers and other, grill companies that I've gotten to know. And that's what it's really about, is the relationships that you make throughout that process,
Yeah, no, I mean, that's that. I mean, when I was in sales and software or anything else, I mean, I used to always just do really well, but that's because I took the time to build relationships and get to know people and not just focus on the transaction, focus on the relationship. And that's probably one of my top 5 piece of business advice out there is, get to know your customer and nurture that relationship and be genuine. You know what I mean?
Right.
Some people can just do it, and others it's hard. I think everybody can be genuine and build relationships, but for some of us, it's just more natural than for others.
Right. Now, speaking of relationships and helping people with barbecue, let's talk about helping people with barbecue for a minute, because I get questions a lot, on the channel, and answered a few before we came on the live stream tonight, and wanted to pick your brain a little bit too.
Absolutely.
Talk about beginners, and it doesn't even matter if they have a pellet grill or what kind of grill that they have, just general barbecue stuff. 3 tips that you would give a beginner just starting out grilling and smoking in their backyard.
So, 3 top tips I would say, first off, man, is get to know, especially if you're cooking with live fire, get to know your grill first. I always do. Back before I was with Traeger, I would fly in and cook a lot of barbecue contests, and so that means I was cooking on a different pit, dang near every weekend. And for me, I like the good old biscuit test, man. Get you a couple cans of biscuits, put them around that cooker, find out where your hot spots are, find out where your cool spots are, find out how that air is flowing through there. Where do you want to make your adjustments? Do you want to make your adjustments at the firebox? Do you want to make your adjustments at the flue? All those things that kind of get to know your cooker before you go in there and start throwing any meat in there and burning it up and wasting money. Second is keep that grill clean. And learn how to run a clean fire. If you're not cooking on pellets, you're cooking live fire, just make sure you learn. So many people, when they first get into barbecue, they think you want that big, puffy, great smoke.
That's right.
You don't want that great smoke. That's the devil. You want that nice white, blue smoke. That means you're running a fire that's combusting properly, and that's the smoke you want going on your meat. And then I would say third, obviously keep a good, clean grill. And I guess I'm gonna throw in a fourth, some hashtag bonus coverage.
Yeah.
When you want to get in there and do that first long cook, everybody seems to want to jump on brisket. Man, there's plenty to learn about brisket.
Yeah.
But pork butt's cheap, super easy. I mean, you cook it to 165, 170. You wrap it, put a little apple juice in there, run it up to 200, 202, and you're good to go. So to me, pork butt's cheap. It's going to help build your confidence really, really quickly, because unless you just overserve yourself, you should be able to pull off some pork that's pretty tasty if you got a clean fire.
Man, those are great tips, and I agree with every single one of them. I've actually got a video on my channel of me doing the biscuit test on one of my pellet grills, because I kept getting questions about does that grill have hot spots? Well, does that grill have hot spots?
Yep.
So I just did a video on the biscuit test to show everybody how you can test whether or not your grill has hot spots or not. And that's a simple, cheap way to find out. And you can use those hot spots to your advantage if you have them,
Yeah. Well, and to me, it's the tastiest test ever. You know
Yeah.
I mean? Ain't nothing wrong. I mean, I know we're both eating keto, but I mean, come on, man.
Ain't nothing wrong with a biscuit.
We can't pass up a biscuit.
Biscuit and jelly.
That's right. The other thing, man, I talk about it all the time, is keeping a clean grill.
Yeah.
Some of these guys that post pictures on Facebook and Instagram and all, and they're taking pictures of their food, but my eyes go straight under the food to that drip pan or whatever they've got under there. And I'm like, man, if that's how you keep your house or your kitchen, I don't want to come over to eat.
Yeah.
You know?
What need a coconut out of that kitchen?
Right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So and a dirty grill, especially when you're talking about pellet grills, you're gonna have problems. I don't care what anybody says.
Yep.
A dirty pellet grill, you're gonna have problems.
Well, because here's the deal: if you're not cleaning the grill up, that also means you're not getting in there in your fire pot and vacuuming out all that ash. So you go have igniter issues. You go have a problem with your air down there. And people all the time call and say, "Man, this thing won't get to 450. Man, this thing won't get to 500." And 9 times out of 10, it's because they can't get proper airflow because they got so much crud built up in that fire pot.
That's right. So I agree with that 100%. And then you kind of answered one of the next question that I've got. The biggest mistakes beginners make, and I think one of the biggest mistakes that beginners make, you kind of hit on it a while ago, is they try to go for the brisket right off the bat instead of keeping it simple. I don't care if you do just wings or burgers.
Yep.
You know, that's going to help you learn your grill and how to manage a fire like you're talking about. And then you can progress pork butt. And then if you get the pork butts down, then you can go over to the brisket if you want to do that. And even then, I'm not going straight for the Wagyu. I'm going to get a Walmart brisket. And yeah, that's right. And go from there.
Another thing for guys that are going to do that, you know, remember one thing that's your friend when you're starting out with a choice brisket is wet aging, man. If you can find out the kill date on that and you can throw it in your beer fridge that you're not in a lot and let that thing sit in there about 45 to 60 days for kill, that brisket's going to break down real nice. And from the beginning, you're going to start out with a much better chance of having a nice tender piece of meat because all those enzymes are going to start breaking that brisket down, and just makes it a whole lot more tender. So that's a little tip there too.
So Mike Miller, welcome to the channel. Mike Miller's got a question. What type of grill should a beginner start with? That's a great question.
That is a great question. You know, obviously I'm a little biased towards pellets because I think they're great for beginners. And you can get the luxury of grilling and smoking out of both of them. You know, another one, if you weren't going to go that route, is man, just like almost all of us probably started on just a good old charcoal kettle grill. You know what I mean? For me, they're a little pricier, but when it comes to charcoal, I love those PK grills. Yeah. I like them, man. It's a nice aluminum build. It's something that's going to hang around for 20, 30 years. They look cool. They hold heat really well, so your charcoal consumption's down. But I would say for me, that's those two. You know, somebody can get a small pellet grill or one of those PK charcoal grills. I think both of them would be a great start.
I always recommend the like a Weber kettle or something like that because it's something that you can get into without spending a lot of money, and it also.
Another one that I used to buy a lot when I was first getting started, I probably bought 2 or 3 of them, like one for the beach and this and that, is those little red Aussie grills, the ones that got the 2 wheels on it, so you can kind of drag it wherever you want.
Yeah.
But it sits up nice and high. I think $40, $50. But a good little starter to make sure, you know, so many people get into a hobby and say, man, I'm going to go with this full force. You know, if I had $1 for everybody that went out and bought a boat and said, I'm going to bass fish.
Right, exactly.
They went bass fishing 2 times. You know what I mean?
That's right.
So, yeah, I agree, man. So get in there and invest in something cheap. Make sure you go have a love for it, hone your skills, and then you can get into that upgrade, start moving up a little bit on the features and that kind of thing on grills.
Now, one of the things that I kind of go off the rails with a little bit. Me and Harley have talked about this a bunch, and it aggravates me. I want your thoughts on it. But it aggravates me. The term "set it and forget it."
Mm-hmm.
Now, me personally, I hate that term, that phrase, because for some guys, thank you, babe.
Mm-hmm.
For some guys, that means turn it on and just don't pay attention to it, you know. And and I don't think that with any grill, I don't think you can do that with. Now, that's not to say that you can't turn a Traeger with Wi-Fi on and just let it go all night and you're not going to have any issues. But what I'm saying is, I think a lot of these guys take that absolutely literally, and they don't pay attention to, do you have enough pellets in the hopper? Is it clean? That kind of stuff. Is it misting today, which is going to leave moisture in the air, and I may have some moisture issues, you know, wind direction, all that stuff.
Is there any chance of flame outs if you're running at a super low temperature?
Exactly. And so I hate that term, set it and forget it, and wanted to get your opinion on, you know, how much do you forget it, but how much do you still need to pay attention to it?
You know, I'm probably, you know, if I'm in a longer cook, I'll probably get up once overnight. You know, let's say we put a brisket on at 10. I'll probably get up, you know, around 2:30, 3 o'clock, make sure everything's, you know, running well, top off pellets, and then I'll get up to wrap. And right now, your brother's listening to this laughing because I think he got up and did all the wrapping and checking Super Bowl, which I love you for that, brother Harley.
Yeah, he got he got the butter out of the duck.
He definitely did, man. So I would say, you know, I'm going to check on it a couple times. Like if I'm cooking ribs, you know, that for me is about a 4.5 hour cook. I'm probably going to check them every 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
One, if they start to dry out a little bit, I'm going to spritz them a little bit of water. And two, I just kind of want to see how that's coming back, how the bones are pulling. If it's baby backs, I kind of want to make sure I'm not getting that separation between the rib and the loin, that kind of stuff. So, you know, and what I like about the pellet grill is you can get in there and look at your meat and your cook a little bit, and it's going to recover so much quicker than if you're on a stick burner or something like that.
Right. And what I have found with guys that are having problems is they don't know what to do when something does go wrong. And I've got a video, it's called How to Clean and Operate a Pellet Grill Safely. I bet I have shared that thing 1,000 times because people have a flame out and then they ask on Facebook, which is probably their first mistake. You know,
got an opinion on there.
Why did this happen? You know, all that stuff. So, and all I do is share the link to that video, and it pretty much explains kind of what to do if this happened, what to do if that happens. Tom, he's got a question. It's a great question too. And then I'll get to Eric's question up there. I talk about this a lot on my channel as well. And it goes to Tom's question, which is, what do we consider a super low temperature? Now, I always get questions about that, and it usually revolves around the flame out issue. And for me personally, on my pellet grills, I usually don't cook below 225.
Man, I am right there with you. I will occasionally, I've got to where if I'm wanting to build kind of a monster bark on a brisket, because I know I'm going to hold it for a lot longer than usual, I'll sometimes start off for a couple hours at 185 or go overnight 185. But that's kind of few and far between. But yeah, and unless I'm trying to like smoke some cheese at 165.
Right, cold smoke.
Yeah, besides those two, man, I'm usually the 225 is the lowest for me. That's
usually what I say too. And the way I look at it is when you start going below 225, you know, you can cook at 225, you can cook at 200, and when you eat it, you're not going to be able to taste the difference.
Mm-hmm.
But the lower you go under 225, the higher the risk goes of something going wrong, like a flame out.
Yeah,
And
well,
so,
and it just, to me, it makes for a much longer cook, which is much more of an opportunity to dry that piece of meat out.
that's true. That's true as well. So,
And the other thing I like is I usually start at 225, but then when I wrap, I go up to 275, and I find on my bigger cuts, my pork butts and my brisket, I power through that stall a lot quicker at 275 than I do at 225.
now with that being said, not many, well, probably not any, but Traeger controllers on the market have a super smoke or a keep warm mode. Now I have used, me and Harley used that keep warm mode New Year's Eve when we were out here cooking, and it worked great. But that controller is made to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Other controllers aren't made to do that that function. So, it's not recommended unless your controller is specifically meant to do that.
Yep, completely agree. Real quick, not to jump into a tangent, but I was thinking one more about a tip that I always cover in my Traeger shop classes. I'll talk about beginner tips. Is people always, and you probably get it all the time too, when people ask about something. First question: how long is it going to take?
Yes.
That's my question.
And to me, time is just there to budget to make sure you got food on the table when people are hungry.
Until it's done. I mean.
Yeah, exactly. Every one of these animals has lived a different life.
Exactly.
Some of them work 3 jobs. Some of them play racquetball at the country club.
That's right.
It's one of those things that internal temperature is key. And I don't know what brands you use, but I mean, from the day I got into barbecue, I bought a Thermopen.
Yep.
And I've been a ThermoWorks guy from day one. Great quality product. I mean, I had a Thermopen that I owned for 10 years go out, and and their guy said, "Man, ship it to me." And they refurbed the whole thing, and it cost me $15.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that was them shipping it back to me. You know what I mean? Just a great company to work with. But once again, man, time is just a guideline, and when it's done, and that's 100% based off of when you're getting started. It's 100% based off of temperature, and then as you hone your craft, it's temperature and feel.
Right.
The way that Thermopen goes into that brisket, you want it to slide in nice and smooth. Little bit of resistance in the middle for the carryover cook, and that's perfection.
That's exactly right. And this last video that I did, we filmed me sliding the Thermopen in. I wasn't doing it for temperature. I just wanted to see how it felt. And it slid right straight down. And then we took a picture of the actual temperature. It was 202 degrees, and it was perfect. That bone slid right out. And it, so that's how, there is no magic number. For example, the 3-2-1 method for cooking ribs. People take that literally. There was a comment the other day on Facebook. I did the 3-2-1 method on ribs, and it came out, and they were tough. Well, then you should have left them on there. 3-2-1 is not some magical equation.
Yes.
That it's just going to spit out perfect ribs every time. You're still the pit master of whatever grill that you're using.
Yep.
And so, master that cook, use your senses, and you can tell whether it's done or not.
Completely agree. And once again, people will say, "Oh, they turned out tough." I would bet somebody like that, probably cooked that's a St. Louis style rib recipe, and they may have cooked full spares for all we know.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And for me, 3-2-1's a great jumping off point. I just hate on a pork rib being in wrap for 2 hours because I feel like you boil so much of the pork flavor out of it.
Yeah.
But to get started and get a couple of wins under your belt, that's awesome.
Now, I asked this question to Curtis. Curtis was on a couple weeks ago.
I know, big shoes to fill, man. I'm trying to pull through here, man. I ain't no Curtis Nations, but I'm trying to pull through, old boy.
And so I was curious to see what your answer would be with this. But quality of meat versus a pit master's technique, what's going to produce the best cook? Is it the quality of the meat that matters the most, or is it the pit master?
Well, I will tell you, for me, a lot of times the quality of the meat determines the technique. Man, I love cooking hot and fast briskets, but I'm only going to cook a Snake River brisket hot and fast. You know what I mean?
Right.
I know I all kinds of protection there. But I think if you got to choose one, I mean, me and Curtis both have been in some pretty funky places where we've gotten some really crappy meat, and I think if you've got the experience and the wherewithal to change up the cook to address this meat situation you got, I'd probably rather be in that situation where you've got the skill and the technique. Even when you get there and you're in some country overseas and pork butt's not 8 pounds, it's 4.4 pounds.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, Curtis gave kind of a more politically correct answer. He said it both were important, and he's kind of right. A good pitmaster can make a cheap piece of meat turn out pretty good.
Yep.
And a good piece of meat can make a terrible pitmaster look pretty good.
Yep.
So it's they kind of go hand in hand a little bit. But
well, you said Curtis was political about that. I mean, don't count him out. He's still been talking about running in 2020. So I can see why he gave you that answer.
Yeah.
He's trying out there, maybe trying to just garner some votes.
There you go. He's on the campaign trail already.
Mm-hmm.
But for the guys that are just starting out that can't go out and buy Snake River Farms,
yep.
There is a way to cook, say, a choice brisket and still make it turn out good.
Well, one of the things I always tell guys is, when you start out with that choice brisket, make an investment in there. There's a couple of real good ones out there. I've used Butcher Barbecue's beef injection forever and a day, and invest in that. Mix with a little bit of low sodium beef broth, and that's kind of to put it in simple terms. That choice brisket being so much leaner than the Snake River brisket, what you're really doing with that injection is you're taking that choice and almost moving it up to a prime, because you're adding some moisture in there, you're adding some phosphates in there, you're doing some things that help with moisture retention. So I would say when you go that route, you're getting started with choice, make that small investment and some real good injection. Butchers or Cosmos, those are two really good ones, and I think that's going to help you a lot too.
A couple of questions that I get a lot too, just real quick questions. Do you brine or do you not brine poultry?
I do brine poultry, and I think it's just because for me it's so damn simple. I came out with a whiskey bent brine called the Dunk, and man, it's one of those you ain't got to heat up. It's a quick dissolve. So literally, man, for me, I love brining chicken. I love brining pork chops, tenderloins. Those are all things kind of in that wheelhouse. Obviously, holiday turkeys. I love to brine. So yeah, I'm a brining fan, and even when it comes to beef, steaks, tenderloins, those things, I'm a pretty big fan of a dry brine too, where we're just covering that bad boy in some salt and then brushing it off, seasoning it up, and going to town.
We started out the live stream talking about relationships and stuff like that. And again, I've talked about the relationships that I've made in barbecue and all that, and how it's brought me close to some folks that I never would have met otherwise. But you being in the competition side of everything, plus just traveling around with Traeger and doing big events and that kind of stuff, there's a lot of great guys out there that you meet and they become friends of yours and all that. But I've also learned that there's a lot of big egos out there. Talk about that side for a little bit.
You know what I'll tell you? When it comes to egos, I have seen a hell of a lot more egos in the growth of social media than I have on the competition trail. In cooking 130 contests across 28 states, I can probably on one hand count the amount of people that I would think are kind of egomaniacs on the competition tour. There's a lot of guys that are confident, but guess what, man? You go out there and you win 30, 40, 50 grand championships, I'm going to be pretty confident too.
Right.
But these are also the same guys, a bunch of them that, when me just competing a couple times a year, I can call a Travis Clark, which Travis will give you his shirt off his back and say, hey, Trav, ain't buckled her up since friggin' May. Here's what I plan on running. Tell me what you know about profiles. I just did that with a guy named Jeff Vanderlinde. He's shaking and grinning in Minnesota. He just won. He won pork at the Royal this year, And I called Jeff up and said, man, I need some help on ribs and brisket. And he goes, dude, let's spend an hour on the phone. I'll walk you through my whole program. And he did, and I test cooked it and went out and popped the top 10 brisket. You know what I mean? So a lot of those guys, man, will give you the shirt off their back, and just a handful of them on the competition side. But, being exposed to some of these people on social media, they're out there and they're focused on their account. They're living and dying based off of followers and likes. And at the end of the day, they want you to hand them the world, and they're not really that damn good at cook, bro.
Right.
They just do it for the camera. I mean, some of these guys, you look at their feet and you're like, all right. And then you go out there and you cook with them and you're like, dude, you all had no cattle.
Right. Yeah.
So I would say that's where I've seen the most egos at, is more on social media than in the competition world. I always say one guy that gets, Myron Mixon, I will tell you, me and Myron have drank many a liter of Crown Royal together. And to the point of almost getting thrown out of a hotel twice. And Myron had this TV persona, man, of being a hard ass, grinding folks. You meet Myron Mixon in person, he is one of the friggin' nicest guys. And I've just always had really good interactions with Myron. But once again, I mean, look, the guy was on TV for 10 years. You create a persona like that, and you can deliver with it, but it's not who the guy is genuinely. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think sometimes, it's not as prevalent anymore with barbecue on TV, but back when Pitmasters was on, people would take this 42-minute snapshot of somebody on a TV show and form opinions, which sometimes just isn't real fair. You know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah.
And I think for me, too, with the competition guys, I did my radio show for, up until probably after my first year working with Traeger, then I just got too busy. I got to meet a lot of these guys because my show is a lot like yours is, where I just wanted people on Tuesday nights to come spend 2 hours with us. And it was almost like at a competition when we sit down on Friday night, pour a drink, and just chew the fat. You know what I mean?
Right.
I never wanted my show to be too serious. I always wanted to make sure we hit plenty of tips and tricks. But it was literally like just sitting campside with us on a Friday night at a contest.
Exactly.
And to me, that's some of my favorite times at contests.
Yeah. Social media has really changed a lot and changed barbecue and a lot of other things. And talk about like when you got in to the competition scene, but also, going to these competitions and stuff, flavor profiles is the big deal. How have you seen those change over the years?
Great question. So for me, flavor matters, but if you want to be the last one to walk that day, your tenderness has to be dialed on all 4 categories. You got to have the tenderness right. And then for me, a guy named Rub Bagby down here in Florida, he's a godfather of Florida barbecue, 60-plus grand championships, team names Swamp Boys Barbecue. Rub taught me way early in my competition career. He said, Chad, you want to cook the best average barbecue. You don't want it too sweet. You don't want it too salty. If grandma had a blackberry compote barbecue sauce that she won a blue ribbon with,
right,
don't put that shit on your ribs, because if one of the 6 judges don't like blackberries, you done knocked yourself out. So for me, I will tell you, since I got into it, chicken has gotten sweeter as far as what the judges want. Ribs, taste-wise are about the same, maybe a touch more sweet. Pork for me was always a tough category, just because I kind of felt like, man, if you cook it right, the only thing I would maybe see different is a little bit of heat on pork, just a touch of back-end heat. But the one that's changed the most to me is brisket. When I started, and we crushed it in brisket, man, they just wanted beefy. Beef. And then when I was kind of cooking a slower schedule, like 8 to 10 contests a year, man, I was getting it handed to me in brisket. And I got asking around some buddies, and they're like, dude, we're painting some barbecue sauce on the back of our slice. And I'm like, that's damn blasphemy, man. You taking a damn $200 brisket and putting barbecue sauce on the back of it? But sure enough, as soon as I started doing it, here came back the brisket scores. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy. And I'll tell you one other thing that's changed in competition barbecue since I really got into it is the amount of hot and fast cooks. There's guys out there, because used to the only hot and fast guys were guys that were cooking on Myron Smoker or Southern Q's or those big water smokers that were made to run, 375 to 425. Well, then you have Gateway and these guys come out with drums that are very affordable. And you just, good buddy of mine, Tim Malloy, Backyard Bros here in Florida. Right now, he's leading the FBA Team of the Year. But dude, he don't light a fire till 6 in the morning.
Wow.
And first turn in an FBA is friggin' 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So you see a lot more guys cooking hot and fast. Let's say back when I started, you go to a contest with 50 teams, there may be 3 hot and fast cooks. If you go to a contest right now, one, it's going to be hard that there's 50 teams because, competition barbecue's taking a beating.
Yeah.
But let's say there is 50 teams there. There's probably 15, 20 cooking hot and fast. It's crazy.
Yeah. Me and Brandon Harley, we went to the Big Pig Jig down here in Vienna.
I love that freaking contest.
And, man, we were disappointed at the turnout, really, of the participants. But then, used to, it was like a fair. There was hundreds and hundreds of people there, big crowds, and there was nobody there.
I did my first one the year that Robbie Royal won Pitmasters, Rescue Smokers. Me and Robbie have been buddies forever, and he invited me up there to come cook hog with him, and dude, it was awesome, man. And then Harley was telling me this year, he said, look, we've been to the jig before. He said it was nothing of what it used to be.
No, it was dead. I had actually planned on filming, just the whole experience and doing a video on it. I didn't even film it because there was nothing to film. There was nobody there. There was a band on stage singing to nobody. There was nobody out there watching them. It was bad. It was bad.
That's terrible. But we're seeing it all over, man. I will tell you, probably the amount of used to, if you looked at the whole competition year, I could cook 15 contests and never go 2 hours from home.
Yeah.
And I bet now that may be 6.
Why do you think that is?
I think 2 things. One, it's a hell of a commitment, man. To get into the game, you got to get a couple cookers. You got to at least have a 10x10. Most guys don't want to go out there unless they got a motorhome or a trailer.
Right.
And it's a huge time commitment. For me, when I pull out my contest timeline, I'm starting on Wednesday, man. I'm buying chicken. I'm trimming chicken. If I had a conventional job, that means after work on Thursday, I got to go get my groceries. I got to load out my trailer, leave Friday morning, not come back till Saturday night, Sunday. You've just chewed up half a week. So unless your wife's really into it with you, or you're single, or you don't have kids, it's just a tough time commitment, and it's a tough money commitment. For guys that don't have sponsors, just getting into it, it's depending on how far you're traveling, and what you're cooking, it's anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500.
Right.
And now, what I think the genius is, you're seeing so many people that these SCA contests, these state contests.
Yeah.
To me, man, you can go out there, you can leave your house at 7 o'clock in the morning, throw up a 10x10, do a couple ancillaries, burn a steak, and be back having dinner with your family.
Right.
And I think a lot more people are going that route, and I can see why.
Yeah. It's definitely. I was disappointed with that. I couldn't believe the turnout at the Pig Jig. I don't know if it was just the day that we were on, but it was disappointing. We didn't even stay for all the awards.
Wow.
It was rough.
Man, I hate to see Harley leave because I guess he's going to have to listen to this last little bit. But, man, down there at the Super Bowl, he was telling me, besides Mama, he was the best barbecue cook in the Smith household.
Yeah,
I just didn't know if you had a take on that or not, man.
Well, if he said it, I believe he said it. I don't.
He said it. You just don't know if you believe it.
I don't believe it, but I believe he said it. No doubt about it. I believe that. Yeah. And that was one of the things. Your influences. For us, it was Mom and Daddy. Daddy, he'd build a fire. There was plenty of times in the wintertime, it's 30 degrees outside, and Daddy's got it so hot inside the house with that fire that we would have to open the door just to let air in to be able to breathe. And he's still shoving wood in that fireplace. He just loved the fire all the time. And Mama, she could cook like crazy, and she had that little barbecue joint in Perry, Georgia for a while, and
Yep.
she did great with it. And that's just how we grew up. But growing up with them, there was no fancy barbecue pits or anything.
Yep.
They just built out of cinder blocks and pieces of tin, and that's kind of what we cooked on outside. And
Harley was telling me, we were talking about wrestling, and he said, man, on Saturday mornings, I'd have to run down there at the restaurant and restoke the pits and wrap. And he said, but I'd always be back in time to get a shower, pour me a bowl of cereal, and watch some 9 a.m. wrestling.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And, that cracked me up because that kind of reminds me a lot of my childhood and kind of planning around Saturday morning wrestling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, bro, I got to tell you, man, he brought me some of your mama's sauce down there that y'all been working on down to the Super Bowl. And man, it's damn good, dude. Really good, man. I hope you guys see that through and keep going commercial with it. And anything, with the experience I've got with the rubs and stuff, anything I can do to help y'all with that, let me know. But I think that one's good enough that y'all don't need to. Y'all need to keep moving forward with it. It's got a really unique flavor to it. And I think in this world of super sweet or super hot sauces, man, it just kind of fits in there and plays real well with a lot of proteins.
Well, I appreciate that, man, especially coming from you. And that's something that Mama thought about off and on about doing. And I would like to see it through. It just seems like it's such a daunting task to get it done. And I mean, it seems like everybody and their brother has a sauce in a store somewhere now, but it's like, if you taste them, you've already tasted it from another bottle somewhere else. They all kind of taste the same sometimes, but just doing a little research that I've done, I mean, you've got to do this, and then you've got to do this, and then you got to get a license for this. And I mean, it seems like there's so much red tape that, it's almost like you feel like you're never going to get through all of it,
Yeah. And that's one of those things I will tell you, if you get out there and you try to find yourself, because it's hard to bottle it yourself.
Yeah.
You almost have to find it. It's one of the things that I kind of have an ambition to do sometime before they put me in the ground, is I would love to start up a little packaging company that could handle my own rubs, but also have small enough scale equipment for kind of the situation y'all are in.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Where we could come in and for a couple grand, we could get it batched up. We could run, 30, 40 cases without these huge, 200-gallon minimums and all that stuff, to where you can really help that small business get off the ground. And then obviously I have a vested interest in you guys growing, because then we can move you to the bigger equipment and that kind of stuff. But I just think it'd be great to see people be able to go out there and chase that dream. And there's just so many stories out there like y'all's and Harley's about a recipe that got passed down to them or something like that. And people just want to go out there and test the market with it and be able to provide them that service, for economical cost,
Yeah. We're still we're definitely thinking about it and trying to figure it out. We just had to figure out how to do it. But I appreciate your input and for
me, man, it was one of our franchise stores we opened up, and I'd been working with a co-packer down here in St. Pete on some recipe development, and like everything else, got busy with Traeger, and he came and hands me this, present, and it's the 4 rubs we've been working on.
Wow.
And he said, man, if you come see us right now, you're walking away from money. He said, if you come spend 2 days with me, we can get these recipes finalized and get them in the bottle. And sure enough, man, went over there, spent a couple days with him. We got everything knocked out. We got it batched up. Tastes exactly like when I used it, when I would make it at home. And boom, man, since then, like I was saying when we first got on the show, I mean, we have been extremely blessed, and it's good people like your listeners that have went out there and tried the products and reordered and tell people about them and all that fun stuff, man. It's great.
I appreciate that, and that means a lot coming from you. So that's pretty cool stuff.
Yes, sir. Did I see you had a draft beer earlier? You got a keg in there?
No, I wish I had a keg in here. That would make the show a lot more interesting, probably. No, I've just got some in the but in just wanted to get my Marine Corps glass out for my son. He's at Marine Corps boot camp now, and he's got 3 more weeks left.
Awesome, man.
So we're proud of him. And next week they'll go to the Crucible and come back, and then he'll have a little over 2 weeks, around 2 weeks left, and we'll get to go see him graduate. So really happy about that.
Congratulations, man.
Appreciate that, man. Well, man, it's been a blast. I can't thank you enough for doing this. We're gonna have you back again.
Man, I'd love to, man. It's been a great time. Like me and you ain't met, but almost like chatting with an old friend, man.
Well,
I'd love to come back.
I keep telling Harley, man, I want to go with you and meet Chad. And he's like, man, you don't want to meet.
Here's the deal, man.
He said, you don't want to meet that guy.
I think he's worried about me and you meeting, and I may end up cutting him out.
Well, I guarantee you that's what it is. No doubt about it.
I know that's what it is, man. Old Harley throwing a little damn insecurity at this old boy.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. If he don't watch anything else on this whole show, he needs to watch that part right there.
Yeah, he needs to watch that last 45 seconds.
That's
Mark
right.
the tape, Harley.
That's right. That's right.
He's probably still listening.
Well, man,
you know he is. He's like, man, they think I'm gone. Now they're gonna talk about me.
That's right. That's probably why he told us that he was leaving, just to see what we'd say after we thought he was gone.
Exactly. I bet that that's a sly joker, man. You gotta watch out.
Yeah. See, I was the honest one out of the bunch.
He had warned me about that.
Well, man, I appreciate it, and I can't thank you enough for stopping by. Definitely gonna have to have you back, and appreciate that discount promo code. I'm gonna announce it again. I'll probably put it on Instagram as well for the listeners. And I can't thank you enough, man.
It's so much fun, man. Definitely love to come back, and if I got free Wednesday nights, man, I'm gonna start tuning in and checking it out, man. Great show, a lot of fun, and thank you for having me, brother. And let's do it again soon.
We'll do it, man. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, brother. Take care. Bye bye.
You too. Night. See you. Chad Ward, I appreciate him stopping by, man. That was awesome. That was a lot of fun and very informative. He had some great points on a lot of stuff, a lot of tips and all that stuff. So appreciate you guys for sticking in with all that, hour and 15 minutes or so. Can't thank you enough. Before you head off, if you haven't already, hit that thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe to the channel. We sure appreciate it, and we'll be glad to have you. The last thing, I told you I'd give you a little update on Nate. As of last week, we told you that he had lost his drill instructors and that kind of thing. And usually we get a letter on Wednesdays. No letter today. So we don't have an update on what's going on with his platoon and that kind of stuff. I know that according to the schedule, they were supposed to do the combat fitness test today and make that final. So
he gets a haircut tomorrow.
Hopefully he does well with that. He gets his 7th haircut tomorrow.
Yes.
But he's getting close, man. I mean, about 3 weeks left, and we'll get to go check him out. So it's getting real now. So appreciate y'all's support as far as that goes. That means a lot. Very proud of him and all that stuff.
Mike, I'm glad you made it.
Yeah, Mike, better late than never, brother. Better late than never. Appreciate you showing up, man. And Mike, that table looks good, by the way.
Talk to Eric.
Eric had a question about he was thinking about buying a Silverbac and also the Weber Smoke Fire. Any advice? I haven't personally seen the Weber Smoke Fire, Eric, so I don't want to speak on it really. I mean, I can tell you my opinion on it so far, and I might be totally wrong. Me and Harley have discussed it a little bit, and I can just tell you what I have seen now. Again, I say this every time before I talk about this. I'm sure that the folks at Weber have tested this over and over again, and they have all the bugs worked out and all that. However, for me, with a pellet grill they have it set up kind of like their gas grills in that they have vaporizer um, little shields or whatever you want to call it below there. And so the grease drips on the vaporizer shields and they kind of vaporize and all that. And then whatever's left drips to the bottom of the grill and then in holes into some kind of reservoir deal. But for me, that just, they're talking about 600 degrees or so with the higher temps. Until I see how it works and feel comfortable with it, I would just think that would have to be some type of risk for a grease fire. Now, I don't know how they worked it out. Flavorizer bars. There we go. And it looks like a grease fire waiting to happen. Is it? I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen one and used it personally, so I can't speak to that. I can just tell you my opinion of what I have seen so far. So take that for what you want. Again, I've spoken about it before. It is kind of funny to me that there are so many people, so many grill companies now who always said, you don't want one of them old pellet grills. That's not real cooking. We'll never come out with a pellet grill. Now all of a sudden everybody's coming out with pellet grills. So I kind of feel like that's a little funny, especially the Weber community, the Weber kettle community, who dog people out with pellet grills forever. And now all of a sudden their favorite company's got a pellet grill. So I wonder what they think about that. But that goes to show you the popularity of pellet grills. The ease of use for the most part, as long as you understand how it works. So, I kind of go along with that. Silverbac, I've got one. I've done a 1-year review. I've done a 2-year review. And I've even gotten a couple of requests here lately from 2 guys wanting a 3-year review. The 3-year review would be pretty simple because it's just like the 2-year review. Nothing has changed. I haven't replaced anything on it. I do need to replace that gasket on the chimney stack where it attaches to the barrel. It has kind of gone out a little bit, and I need to clean it, the chimney part. That does get clogged up with grease as well, so you need to keep an eye on that. Other than that, I haven't replaced a dang thing in it since I got it. So, and it's built, it's double wall insulated. It's thick steel. I've got the old one, the original one. So it didn't come with stainless steel on the inside. And I still haven't replaced anything. I haven't replaced the hot rod. I haven't replaced anything. So far, when you look at the price and the build quality, it's hard to beat. I'll be honest with you, it's hard to beat.
And I love its baby.
And Brandy loves the Chimp, the little baby Silverbac, which is built exactly like the big one. It's just a mini version of it. So I don't know if I helped Jenny or not. I can't really speak a whole lot to the Weber smoke fire. I have seen a couple of pretty popular YouTube channels this week that got them. I'm assuming they're going to do reviews on them, and we'll see how those reviews go. But Eric, I appreciate that, man. Glad to have you tonight, and I appreciate the question. Good stuff.
Yes, it is, Mike. My grill.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
He said he was wanting a 3-year review.
Oh, for the 3-year review.
Yeah.
So I may do that. Upcoming video, I was going to mention that. I've gotten a bunch of requests here lately for, they just want me to do a video on the barbecue shed out there, the new barbecue shack that we built. So that might be the next video that I do. And then I might throw in, because it won't take very long, I may do the 3-year review on the Silverbac and throw that out there. Maybe it'll help some folks out with that. So those might be the next 2. And then I'm going to do a wing video. Don't know what grill I'm going to use. But talked with Daddy Duck's Barbecue today. He sent me some rub a while back, and I'm going to use that rub on some wings. I'll come up with something special for that.
Good night, Cooper the Great.
Cooper, appreciate you, brother. Thank you. Mike Tabor. I don't know, Mike. What do you think about it?
No, it's not.
What do you mean, no, it's not?
I mean, it might be here and there, but it's not going to be every video.
No, it's not going to be every video, but we're going to do more of those just because here's the thing. There's an old saying. There's an old saying, and I'm not going to quote it correctly, so I'm not even going to try. But the premise of it is you can't expect different results if you keep doing the same thing, you know? So I want to change it up a little bit to see if we hit a little bit different audience and it creates more interest and people maybe watch the videos longer. Now, this was an exceptionally long video compared to the ones that I have done recently, but it was just a long cook. It was a long day. Trust me. I was up, I don't know, 14, 15 hours total.
Yeah, Matt didn't like it.
Yeah, Matt hated it altogether. But I knew that was going to happen. But me personally, I love watching those videos. It's relaxing, first of all, to me. And
not to me.
And then I think people talk too much, and I would just rather people just hush sometimes. But also, I think a lot of
thanks, Mike.
The cinematography, the way things are shot, and that you don't just have to be in front of a camera talking like a robot, telling people how to do something. That, you know, it's just more kind of you're watching me cook without me. It doesn't even look like I'm doing a video almost. And I kind of like that. It's different. I mean, I don't know how many videos I have, but I probably have around 200 videos now. After 200 videos
of listening to yourself,
you get tired of doing the same thing, you know, and you start looking for other ways to do it. And then I just got to thinking about, after watching about 10 of those folks' videos in a row, first of all, why am I watching all these videos? And then second of all, there's a lot of people out there that really don't care about a DIY video on how to cook something. They just want to be entertained. They just want to watch a video instead of the political stuff that's on TV. They just want to sit down and watch this guy cook something. And so I think there's a little bit for both groups. And so we're going to try to do a little bit more of that. So
thank you, Eric. Good night.
Mayhem, I appreciate that. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, exactly, Rick. I agree.
Well,
Cooper, I thought you were going to bed.
That is true. So we're going to try to incorporate a little bit of that. And like I said before, even just doing this video, I think we can incorporate more of the way this one was filmed in a regular video, but just not be straight on in front of a camera. You know, we only have one camera, and it's not even a dadgum camera. It's a cell phone. But I think we can try to do better at making it look like we're using multiple cameras and different angles and stuff, and just kind of make it a little more interesting to watch, because ultimately I want to hold everybody's attention for as long as I can on these videos. And so that's kind of our goal, is just to keep progressing. So all your feedback, whether you like it or you didn't, is appreciated, as long as you're constructively. Now, if you're a jerk, then you finna get the wrath of Just Peeling Barbecue and probably get blocked and bye-bye. But if you're constructive, I can appreciate that. So, All right, guys, that's about it. We have gone about an hour and a half tonight,
Yes. I'm ready for bed.
but we appreciate you. Thank you for hanging in there. Again, before you leave, hit that thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. We appreciate everybody, the old school subscribers and the new ones. We're glad to see everybody here. Once again, thanks for Chad for stopping by. It was a blast. Don't forget, Just Piddling is the promo code for Whiskey Bent Barbecue Supply. Go over there, get you some rubs, get you some sauces. He's got smoked wood over there as well, hats, shirts, all kinds of stuff. Go check it out. Promo code Just Piddling, and it'll be awesome. So, yeah, lighting has been an issue too. Right now, we've got, everything's just we got to do what we can fit in the budget. You know what I mean? Right now, we've got lights from Ace Hardware, but that's what we do. Make it work. Just make it work.
Thank you, Chad.
Appreciate you guys. Can't thank you enough. I hope you have a great rest of the week. Cook something good this weekend. Send me a picture. Let me know what you're cooking.
We're going to Paris Island Friday.
We're probably could be going to Paris Island Friday just to snoop around a little bit and see what they got over the exchange and just see the sights and sounds. I miss that place. That's a special place. We can
scope out Nate.
Yeah, without being seen.
He flip out.
I might need to wear some camouflage.
Oh God, stop it!
Crawl around on the grass. Get behind some bushes. Come on now.
No.
You look good in a little ghillie suit. I'll paint your face.
You ain't painting nothing.
I'll paint your face.
No, you ain't. All right, guys, I'm going to bed. He's going to stay up and talk about.
Y'all got the butter out of the duck tonight, I'm going to tell you.
Y'all have a good rest of the week. Good night, Mike.
Until then,
we'll be piddling. Oh,